It's way too early right now, guys. 7:30 in the morning, Tuesday. So, yeah, I got stuck with 8 a.m.s every day of the semester. And I am not a morning person. I don't think most poker players are. No, you tend not to have the best sleeping schedules, but I have 8 a.m.s every day. We'll see how long it takes for me to start missing some classes. It's like a per day of class, I think, and a small part of me, when I heard my alarm, was thinking about skipping class. So, not the best mindset to have early on in the semester, but so today I actually have 2 classes. I have finance and finance. One of them is investment management, so I'm guessing how to manage your investments. And another one is valuation. So valuation is like valuing companies, so valuing projects. I don't mind class if you can use electronics, but I don't get why teachers don't let you use electronics in your class. It doesn't really make sense to me. Just realized I forgot my glasses, so have to decide whether I should sit in the front to see the board or risk being caught. Struggles of a college student. One down, one to go, and I'm already done. Luckily, my class is just right across the street, so pretty convenient. Yeah, it is. Say hi.
Hello.
This is Alex,
His best friend.
My best friend. Yeah. Yes, he's white. So
okay.
Surprise, surprise. I think they've only seen Asians on the vlog, actually.
I gotta add some variety.
Yeah, this is it's good for the white demographic. Where are we going?
Gonna go eat. I guess. Well, I don't know.
Oh,
I'll walk with you. I'll walk with you.
Well, let's. I need to go buy textbooks. Let's go to the co-op. You wanna go to co-op?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, we need to buy some university textbooks. Probably spend like 400 bucks there because textbooks are stupidly expensive. Yeah.
Are you taking a video?
Okay, got our books. Ended up being actually cheaper than I expected, like 400 bucks for 2, which is actually not bad.
Awful.
Yeah, well, not bad compared to some other semesters, but now I'm taking Alex to China Family. He's not gonna eat because it's not his type of food. But
that's not it.
It's pretty ethnic Chinese, pretty good food. Gonna go there and then probably take a nap and then actually go to the card house for a few hours today. We'll see how that goes. Not sure about how good the games are on a school day in the afternoon, so depending if the games are good or if there's not that many tables, I might just, you know, leave after a few hours, but we'll see. It should be interesting midday on a Tuesday afternoon, but yeah. What?
You kind of made me sound a little bit racist over video. It's not joking. My kind of food. I like Asian food.
Okay, tell Cameron
I'm not racist.
Okay, because he's probably gonna appear in other vlogs. He wanted to clarify that he wasn't racist before the racist comments came in. Okay, fam. Just took a 1-hour nap. Definitely well needed. Only got 6 or 7 hours of sleep last night, and I'm the type of guy that needs like 8 or 9. So good nap to get me through hopefully a decent session. Also got the glasses on because it's okay for me to go to class without glasses, but me being on the road without proper vision, not safe. So gonna hit the Texas card out, see what kind of games there are. Hopefully at least 2-3s there. But if not, we'll just have to play some 1-2 until the 5-5 game opens. Alright guys, we played a bit longer than expected, especially because I have an 8 a.m. tomorrow and it's about midnight right now. So maybe not the wisest decision in terms of my sleep schedule, but classes are not too hard right now since we're just getting into it, so no big deal. Anyway, session went well. We played a little bit of 1-2 and 2-3, and then probably 5 hours of 5-5. We ended up making a pretty good profit, which mostly came from the last hour, hour and a half. For the first 6 or 7 hours, we were really card dead. Haven't been this card dead in a long time, but there were still a good amount of interesting hands. But since it's already running late, I'm just gonna go home and talk about them with you guys tomorrow. I think you guys will like them. All right, it's the next day, and we are actually at the library this time instead of the School of Business to talk about these hands. A lot of small, medium hands this time, but again, like I always say, I think there's a lot to learn in even these small spots that can improve your guys' win rate. So, first hand's actually at 1-2, and we open aces after a limp to 20, and we get a call. Flop is Queen 9-7 with 2 hearts. We double check our aces to see if we have a heart, and we don't have a heart. So a good way to think about these spots sometimes, I think sometimes you might want to be checking this type of board, this texture, but probably not. But if you do want to check with your big overpairs to pocket control or have some good hands when you check back, I think checking back with the ace of hearts instead of aces with no heart is a lot better, because that way you're a bit more stable. You can call any heart turn when you check back with the ace of hearts, but without the ace of hearts, I pretty much always like betting this hand. So we bet a good healthy sized bet on this flop and get raised to 90. So I know a lot of players think raises in the live poker scene are very nutted, but on this draw heavy board on the flop, a lot of players are still capable of bluffing or even raising hands like king, queen, or queen, jack to see where they're at. So never folding here. It would take a very strong player read for me to lay down aces to a single flop raise. So now the question is whether we should jam or call. I think calling is a lot better than jamming, because jamming really folds out his bluffs and makes him continue with hands that beat us. Sure, he may feel obligated to call off with the draw, but probably not. So by just calling, we keep his bluffs in, we keep those hands like king, queen, and queen, jack in. When we jam and get called, we're not really thrilled about it. So definitely calling here and looking to call brick turns. That's exactly what this turn is. It's a 6. He jams and we snap it off. And river is a deuce. He shows us 6-5 of hearts. And so we scoop. You know, actually pretty surprised that he did have this hand. You know, I think a lot of players actually call this hand on the flop instead of raising it, and I think I like raising a lot by him. No showdown value. He definitely wants to check raise his value hand, so this is makes a lot of sense for him to bluff with. So I like his play. He just, you know, unfortunately had to run into me having aces. So always good to be the one catching someone with their hand in the cookie jar rather than being caught with your hand in the cookie jar. So that's pretty much the only hand interesting in 1-2. We play a little bit of 2-3, but then we move quickly to the 5-5 game where some more interesting hands happen. So the first hand at 5-5 that's interesting is there's an open 25, a call, we squeeze from the small blind with king, queen offsuit. Definitely my default play with an open and middle-ish position. You know, king, queen offsuit, great blocker effects, and can flop decently well, but prefers to be heads up. So
looking to squeeze, potentially pick up $50 in dead money, which is awesome. But we get a call from the cold caller, so not the initial raiser. Flop is pretty bad for us. It's 9-6-5. So we don't connect, and we have one of our worst hands possible here. Definitely could c-bet here, but in boards like this, I would check hands like aces and kings a good amount. So, you know, I don't want to be bluffing too often because I would be checking a good amount of my range here, because this does hit the caller a bit more. He has 9, 6s, 5, 7, 8 suited, 6, 5 suited, things like that. So we check and he checks back. River is a brick. You know, definitely could start bluffing here, I think. But, you know, sometimes checking here and giving up is also fine. Depending on the player type, I would bluff or bluff less. This player is definitely calling a bit more, as evidenced by his cold call pre-flop and then his calling my 3-bet. So I don't think he's gonna fold even ace highs here. So looking to check and give up, but he checks back. River is good for us now. It's a king, so we pretty much always have the best in the air. Looking to go for some value. We bet half pot, really targeting those weak, maybe ace high looks at a call, or some, you know, middling pair. It may be worth it to actually bet pretty big here, because we can definitely have hands like ace king and king queen. But in the moment, I decided to bet half pot, which can't be too bad. He ends up calling, and we win. He says later he had a king, so pretty good river for us. All right, next hand there's a limp. We have pocket threes in late position. Definitely could limp here, but I like raising a lot of the hands that I want to go to the flop with, unless there's a lot of limps and I'm in the button or blind. So I decided to make it 30, and we get 2 calls. Flop is 6-5-5. So, you know, one of the better flops with pocket threes when we don't hit our set. Checks to us. Definitely could check back here, but I prefer betting here for protection and equity denial. You know, if we get 2 folds, it's a huge win for us, and we can always just bank a 3. A deuce, 4, or 7 gives us some outs too. So like betting here also sometimes. I decided to bet, and the big blind comes along. Turn is the 4 of hearts. So we actually have the open-ended straight flush draw. Not sure how that changes things. I think I prefer checking now with that heart, because when we get raised, it's kind of awful, and we can still maybe call some heart rivers depending on the action. So I decided to check instead of keep bluffing. You know, when he does call this board, I think he has a lot of pairs like 7s through 10s and some ace highs. So yes, we can get the ace highs to fold, but we were already ahead of those. And I don't think he's ever going to be folding those over, middling over pairs. So decided to check back. River's a horrible card for us. It's a 6. So now we play the board, and our opponent is never playing the board unless he has pocket 2s. He checks to us. Now I think this is actually really interesting, whether we should bluff or check. You know, I decided to check, and we obviously lost. And he did say he ended up having ace high. So, you know, afterwards it was interesting because the table, you know, I showed my pocket 3s, and some people were like, how could you check that back when you know you're losing? You know, when I decided to check back, I just felt like I couldn't really represent anything for value when I bet the flop and check the turn. You know, if I had a hand like over pairs, I'm probably always betting. If I had a 6, I'm probably betting. Can't really rep too much on this river. I just think that most opponents are not gonna believe me, so they're not gonna be folding pairs, and maybe not even ace high. And I think this is kind of the interesting spot, because we obviously have 0% chance to win a showdown, but we also can't rep much. So what do? Not sure what the GTO or optimal play is on that standpoint, but you know, in my opinion, you know, when the player probably is not folding much of his ranges, it doesn't matter if a bluff is kind of in the bottom of your range per se. Gotta check back, because bluffing is going to be minus EV, but who knows? Kind of a weird spot. Our next hand is actually a hand very similar to a hand I posted in another vlog. It might have been last vlog, but very similar, but it doesn't hurt to go over it again. There's an open in late position, a call, and we call. We have 7-3 of clubs, so you know, probably a fold pre if I'm playing my A game, but against late position opens and we're deep, you know, can't be, you know, awful. but it's probably pretty bad, to be honest. So flop is queen queen 6 with 2 clubs. So we have the flush draw, but it's a bad flush draw, and you know, some clubs will give them full houses, which, you know, make us lose a lot of money. So not that thrilled about this spot. Initial raiser bets, and there's a call, but can't be folding that flush draw here. This is one of our best hands we can have here besides a queen. So we call. Turns interesting, it's a 7. So we crush all the other flush draws, but we still lose to the queens and maybe the protection bets like pocket 9s, pocket 10s. So interesting spot. The initial raiser continues for a healthy bet. There's a call. You know, so we're getting really good odds to call off, but I'm not sure even if they're good enough. When a club hits, a lot of the queens are gonna check back. And I hate leading river on a club because, you know, we're never bluffing in that spot, so it really turns our hand face up. So, you know, even when we do hit, we may not get paid off, and they can have better flush draws. So, you know, it's hard to fold these hands, but I probably think this is a fold. You know, when the guy bets 2 ways, 2 streets, he probably has a queen a lot of the time. You know, I can't imagine him doing this with worse. And we only win when, you know, one guy is betting a 6 and the other guy has a flush draw, or they both have flush draws, which is pretty unlikely. So I called, but you know, when I'm looking back at it, I think this should be a fold, even though it seems like we do have a lot of equity. Anyways, we call and river's a brick, checks through, and we lose to like queen 10 or something. You know, again, probably a mistake on the turn. Probably, definitely a mistake pre-flop. This is one of the hands that, you know, only can blame myself. All right, next hand, we finally pick up our best hand of the night, aces, and there's a straddle call. We open a 16 early position, and we have 2 other callers. Flop is ace 10-4, 2-tone. So there's some draws out there, definitely with them queen jack, king queen, king jack type of hands, and obviously the flush draws. So, you know, a lot of the times when I do have top set of aces, when I'm in position, I like to check, especially when it's more dry. But, you know, multi-way, there's still a lot of hands that can still call us, like those draws and, you know, 10x and maybe the occasional ace. So I decided to bet, and we get 2 folds. So I'm not looking for that. But you have to think about the times when they do have a hand and you bet the flop, you can build this pot really big by showdown. While if you do check, you know, you're only going to be able to get 2 streets in sometimes. So, you know, so even though we did get 2 folds here, I do think betting's a lot better because it just maximizes the pot in the decision tree when the opponent has a pretty strong hand. Obviously, they didn't have it there, but, you know, that's poker. All right, final hand to talk about. And unsurprisingly, this is the hand that brings us to a profit on the night, and it's a bomb pot. You know, I've been running really well in these bomb pots. You know, I usually win 1 a night, which is pretty cool because, you know, we might play 4 or 5. So definitely running good on these bomb pots. Anyways, everyone calls the 25 pre-flop, and we go to the flop. Flop is like queen 5-2 with 2 hearts, and we have king 9 of hearts. So the second nut flush draw. You know, this is a very strong hand when, you know, we can have a lot of other crap and they can have a lot of other garbage. So, you know, obviously not ready to put the money in, but definitely not folding to some action on this flop. So it actually checks around. Turn is a 7 of hearts. So we actually turn the second nuts, and we face a bet from the blinds area of 65. So I thought about this for a bit. You know, this is obviously a really small bet, you know, 1/3, 1/4 pot. We don't like that, you know, when we have a strong hand. We definitely want to be raising for value and building this pot. But I think, you know, when I raise here, it just really turns my hand face up. Sure, I can have some sets like 7s, maybe queen 7 or something, or 5-7. But I think a lot of the time players are just going to fold because I have a flush. You know, and I think when he does bet this small size, he doesn't really have a strong hand. So, you know, I decided to call, hoping to induce someone behind me to raise, maybe with the ace of hearts as a bluff, or to overcall and then make mistakes on the river. Kind of an interesting spot, could go either way. Decided to call this time. So we actually do get 1 caller behind us. River is a brick, it's like a jack, And the person who bet on turn checks now. So now we are decided, you know, what to bet. I don't think checking's good. I think the guy behind us, when he does only call the 65, probably has a marginal hand. So, you know, checking there to induce, probably not a great idea. So now we have to bet a size. You know, pot's about 400, 450-ish. Decide to bet pretty big. 400, you know, get paid from some queen X or some sticky, 2 pairs maybe. And, you know, they probably don't expect me to have a flush that much because they might think flush draws do bet the flop. But I do like to check base draws when we're 9 ways or 10 ways on the flop. So I decided to bet pretty big here, hoping to get called, and we do get called by the person behind us. And the initial raise on the turn ends up folding. We share our hand and we're obviously good. So that was a good sized bomb pot, and that basically capped off our night. We ended up making about 800, 850 bucks in 10, 11 hours. So a good hourly rate, can't complain about that. So that's pretty much all the hands for this vlog. You know, again, not many huge hands like some of the vlogs, but you know, these are the spots that are gonna come up, you know, more often than the huge coolers. So, you know, these are very important to pay attention to and to improve on. So anyways, some announcements to make. I'm not really sure if I should call them announcements. That sounds kind of weird, but I'm actually going to be playing with Andrew Neeme and Brad Owen in the meetup game at the Texas Card House. If this goes out, I think Monday, September 10th, will actually be tomorrow, the day after you guys are seeing this. So going to be playing there. Should be really fun. You know, those guys kind of inspired me to make this vlog in the first place. So I'm really excited to play with them, and I know a lot of people are coming too. So it should be a action-filled game at the 5-5. So if you do want to come say hi to Andrew, Brad, and play with me too, should be fun. September 11th, Texas Card House. But for now, you know, run good at the tables, run good at life.